And good morning. Yes, I know I'm an hour and 11 minutes early. One of those nights. Not very much sleep. Anyway, I also know it's the Venus transit in progress right now. And I hope it brings the energies that it's purported to bring to us. Energies that will facilitate real, visible, tangible changes on Earth that mean something. I mean, so many of the changes over the years that we've said, the 11-11s and the 12-12s and the 9-9s and all of the things, the astrological alignments and the eclipses and stuff like that. I mean, it's all well and good. I mean, we're living in a time of change. But I'm like a lot of people on the planet. When are we going to have change that is tangible? And that leads me into my topic for today, which isn't Venus transit or any of the things that I've mentioned so far. 2012, Bill Wood, Brockbrader, is in jail for all of us. When I first heard Bill Wood on Project Camelot, I was impressed. He seemed to be a man of high integrity and willing to be vulnerable as well. I've listened to him and Eva several times now and was surprised to be sent a link of Bill from jail in Idaho. To me, he is a hero. Give a listen as he talks about the Constitution and the injustice system, and I provide the link on Wolf Spirit Radio. Because he is calling from prison, the quality is not always very good, so I forewarn you on that. Of course, Bill Wood was outed as Bill Brockbrader not very long after his Project Camelot debut. Several months ago now, I guess it's been. He was also on with David Wilcock, I think for one session. Anyway, here's a man who's been on the inside. What is he, a Navy SEAL or was he an Army Ranger? I think a Navy SEAL. Working on special ops. Told his story in that first video, or that first presentation with Carrie Cassidy on Project Camelot. And many people around the world have been following what he has to say, because he is one of the ones, to me, that's a tremendous bearer of light in a very dark world. And God knows we need people that are willing to tackle the really hard jobs of bringing changes that are visible and tangible onto our planet. Not just talking about pie in the sky or wishful thinking, but actually bringing change. And because he stirred up such controversy, and because of some of his past, he was arrested a few weeks back now, and he is in prison. I didn't know you could do audios from prison, but he calls in, and granted, the quality is not always what I would like it to be. It's not easy to listen to, but what he had to share on the video that I listened to yesterday was really important, and I didn't listen to the whole thing. The beginning was pretty bad quality, and I was told to skip the first 15 minutes and go from there, which I did, and then I listened for a half an hour or whatever it was. But I got the gist of what he was talking about, and it's amazing, all of the people in the prison and the attorneys and everything, how much mail he gets from around the world. And I want to encourage you, and I haven't written him yet myself, but I fully intend to. Yeah, something else I need to do. And it's important to do it. So I will get that. I will make that a priority and get that done. But he gets lots of mail from people around the world, and that's showing support. And he's fighting the right way. He hired a lawyer, which I don't know that that's the right way, but because he's in jail, he almost has to have somebody on the outside representing him on the inside. And he's willing to do what, quite frankly, I would not be so willing to do. I'd rather have them put a bullet between my eyes and blow my brains out than take me to prison. I mean, that's honestly how I feel. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and quite honestly, part of my disappointment is the fact that I'm now living for the first time in my life with apprehension. I don't feel safe in the world. And that's the truth. I always felt that love was my protection, and my honesty and truthfulness and being upfront. I always felt that when push came to shove, somehow Spirit would protect me. And it didn't happen when I was arrested. And Bill voluntarily just turned himself in and gave himself up to going to jail. I would not ever choose to do that. I don't believe that's not something. I'm too fussy an eater, and I'm too fussy about sanitation and things like that, and being clean with my food. I wouldn't be able to tolerate living in jail. I'd much rather die, as I said. But Bill is a hero. He's more of a hero than I am. I mean, as I said, I would take a bullet, and then my fight is over. But Bill is willing to go in jail and hire an attorney and fight for his constitutional rights in an injustice system. Once again, folks, I want to emphasize to all of you, I mean, I shared with my friend, how does it look when I'm talking about remedies, and I'm talking about ways to stand up for truth and stand up for our rights, and you see what happens to me? What does that make most people feel like? Like the remedies are like I'm talking to air, like what I'm teaching doesn't mean anything. It has no value because it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because the world system sucks. I mean, put plain and simple, we've got liars that run the system. They're usually referred to as lawyers, but liars and lawyers are almost synonymous terms. We've got judges that mete out injustice. We've got banks that buy governments. We've got people that are sadistic, that are given badges and weapons to represent the state. What kind of world do we live in? And we've got media that doesn't tell us the truth, that purposefully lies to us. And then we've got the majority of people that are apathetic and could care less. They don't even want to know what's going on in the world. And then we wonder why we don't have peace on earth. We wonder why there is no justice. We wonder why. Because to me, when somebody knows about the injustice in the world, when somebody knows about the criminality that's going on in the highest places in our governments and our institutions, including our churches, when people know about that and do nothing, that's complicity. You are complicit in the crime when you know to do something and you don't do anything. Now, what you say to me, but Ron, what can I do? I'm just one person. Well, here's something you can do. Bill gave me inspiration in listening to him. Write letters. I mean, massively. Everybody can write letters to Bill's attorney, to Bill in prison, to Bill and Eva. These people that are willing to do what Bill is doing, what I'm doing in speaking out, these people are the heroes that our world needs, because we've been told that our heavenly help is not going to rescue us, that we have to be willing to stand up for our rights. So those that are standing up for their rights, support them. And I don't mean send money, although that may be a form of support, but support them by writing letters. Let the government know that you're watching. Let the government know that you're being aware. Let your banks know. I was interviewed, as I said yesterday, by my bank. And boy, did I let them have it when I started talking about the CEOs and the headquarters of the bank. Because banks are committing fraud. And the root, hear me, money is not the root of evil. Money, there's nothing wrong with money. There is something grossly wrong with the monetary system. The monetary system that is based on defrauding people. It's based on calling loans to the person who's actually loaning the bank a valuable commodity, and the bank turns it around and makes believe that it's the other way around, that they are loaning the, quote, borrower. They even call them the borrower, the debtor. They call them the one that has to pay it back, and yet the banks don't risk one penny, not one penny, and in fact, they sell the documents. Bill Wood is in prison because he's fighting for our constitutional rights. And when I say constitutional rights, I don't mean that the Constitution bestows rights upon anybody. The Constitution protects rights, and that's what it's made for. It's made to limit government. Bill is in jail pushing that. I am pushing it from outside of jail. I'm going to do the best I can to make these criminals accountable for their actions. And who are the criminals? The criminals are often wear uniforms and badges. The criminals often are people in high places holding offices like governors and secretaries of state and state attorneys and presidents and CEOs and CFOs. These are the criminals that are destroying and have been destroying our world, have been creating the wars, have been creating the disharmony, have been creating the injustice. These are the real criminals, and this is the real crime. And it's time people wake up. When I say Bill is in jail for all of us, I literally mean that. He's fighting a good fight, and he's telling the truth. Listen to the man. Hear what he's saying. And there are others that are doing this. And we collectively are the heroes that the world needs that are going to bring the changes. Because it's not going to happen by wishful thinking. It's not going to happen by ignoring the problem. It's not going to happen by turning your back and putting your head in the sand and thinking positive thoughts. That's not going to work. We have to take the action where it's happening. And it's happening by making our leaders, who are really our servants, aware that we know what's going on. They can't keep the conspiracy going if people would start waking up and start calling a spade and telling it like it is and raising our voices and letting ourselves be heard on a massive scale. The injustice must be addressed, or we cannot bring the changes. I don't care how many Venus transits you have, or solar eclipses, or lunar eclipses, or alignments of planets. That's not going to do the work. The work has to be done by humans on this planet, and at least calling for justice. And maybe with the call for justice, we can get the defensive help that we need. And we're already getting help, according to many channeled messages. They're already stopping planned nuclear wars and other black ops that the government is trying to do to escalate things and to get things moving back the way they used to be able to get things moving. So we are getting help, but we need help on individual levels too. When people stand up for their rights, they need to be protected by heavenly hosts. They need angelic protection. I should have never been tackled on my living room floor. Never, ever, ever should that have ever been allowed to happen. And whose fault is it? Did I do everything right? No, but it doesn't matter. I'm standing in the truth, and I did lots of things right. And Bill is doing lots of things right. And we, the people, need to stand in support of them from around the world. We need to let our voices be heard. No more silence. Silence is complicity. Silence in the face of injustice is complicity with the injustice. Are you willing to take a stand? Are you willing to do something, even if it's just write letters? Even if it's calling your congressman or your bank and letting them know that you're aware of the fraud that they're perpetrating on the people? letting them know, speaking up, speaking out. You say, but I'm afraid. Well, so am I. So am I. I don't like living with the fear that they're gonna use violence against me again or incarcerate me again. I don't like living with that hanging over my head. I don't like living with it hanging over my head that somehow these criminals are going to come and confiscate my property and take my house. I've been living that way for 7 freaking years that this lawsuit's been going on. And it's escalating now onto 3 fronts. And I have to fight the battle. And I oftentimes feel like I'm standing alone. And I don't like that. Yeah, I know there's people helping. And there's people that say, Ron, you got to get back to the spiritual. You got to get back to the spiritual. Well, the spiritual can wait until we settle some of the injustice problems. And we're not going to settle it by not paying attention to it. I praise Bill Wood, Bill Brockbrader. I praise him for his courage, for his willingness to go to jail. I mean, I can't imagine anybody willingly doing that. I can't imagine it. As I said, for me, it would be much easier to take a bullet in the brain. I don't want that because my vision is that the best part of my life is still in front of me. But I don't want to be abused by a damn system that gives criminals badges and guns and tasers. I don't want to be in a system like that. I don't want to live like that with that threat hanging over my head all the time. I don't want to live like that. That's where I am. That's what I feel. That's what I'm saying. Namaste. Bless you.